要找大龄女谈恋爱，找他们就相当于找了一个祖宗供着。大龄女没有
Looking for an older woman to date is like finding yourself an ancestor to serve. There's no such thing as an exceptionally high-quality older woman. If she were truly outstanding, I think she would have married long ago. Most older women don't have much ability, yet they still crave enjoyment. They only want men to give, while they themselves don't want to put in any effort. If you want to build a family with an older woman, their demands are actually quite high, and they'll still press you down. If you're unlucky, you might meet one who's poor in character, burdened with debts, yet still demands a huge bride price, Tai Li. After receiving it, she'll cause trouble, ask for a divorce, and then walk away with a legal and reasonable payout. The older a woman gets, the less genuine her feelings become. Toward later men, it's all calculation and taking. For a man, the wisest choice is to find someone younger. Young women still have real feelings. They're willing to struggle alongside you and build a good life together. When women get older, love fades away, and all that remains is the constant clatter of the abacus.
叮当响。
你知道大龄剩女真正崩溃的瞬间是什么吗？今天我给大家分享一个
Do you know the real moment when an older, leftover woman completely breaks down? Today, I'll share a letter from a 36-year-old woman. She wrote, Xiaoya, I'm 36 years old this year. I used to reject many men, but now I've finally woken up. Back then, I was constantly being pressured to get married, but I wasn't in a hurry. It wasn't because my social circle was small, and it wasn't because work kept me too busy to meet new men. It was because I felt I hadn't yet met a man who truly matched my standards. So I kept going on blind dates, one after another. At last, I found someone who seemed to meet my expectations in many ways. Of course, I felt excited and happy. I thought to myself, finally, I don't have to be alone anymore. But unexpectedly, he didn't like me at all. If he had chosen a woman who was clearly better than me in every way, I could have accepted it. But instead, he chose someone with lower qualifications than mine, yet much younger. And that wasn't even the most devastating part for me. What truly broke me was what happened afterward. I thought things through and decided to lower my standards a bit to be more accommodating. But even after lowering my requirements, those men still didn't want me. I had always thought I was beautiful, came from a good family, and aside from being a bit older, had no real shortcomings. I believed that if I just dressed up a little, took the initiative a bit, I could easily find someone in no time. But reality turned out to be brutally harsh. Now I really regret it. Sadly, time cannot be reversed, and there's no medicine for regret. That moment when I realized this was the most devastating of all. So I want to ask all men, is it really true that nowadays, none of you want older leftover women anymore?
有钱男人根本就不喜欢年纪大的，连基因冲动都没有。
Rich men simply do not like older women. They don't even feel any genetic impulse toward them. A man's instincts are just not attracted to older women. So don't say things like, even though I'm older, I still look young. That's no different from a poor loser saying, even though I'm broke, I look rich. I only tell the truth, without caring about anyone's pride. If you're old and you don't have money, then you're nothing but old cabbage leaves.
姐妹们啊，现在超过30岁以上的男生啊，真的没有几个是大冤种了啊。
Sisters, nowadays men over 30 are no longer such big fools. If they think you're suitable, they'll approach you directly. But if you want to test him by deliberately ignoring his messages, acting cold and aloof, thinking this will make him chase you harder and treasure you more, you're completely wrong. In reality, if you behave like this, not only will they not treasure you, many men will immediately stop bothering with you.
90后女生啊，还在佛系躺平，00后已经
For 92nd-born women, many are still lying flat with a Buddhist attitude toward love, but 2002nd-born women have already started dominating the blind date market. Just earlier, a 2003-born young beauty told me she wasn't forced by her parents to come, she came on her own initiative. I asked, "You're only 22, why are you in such a hurry?" Many girls your age still feel they haven't played enough. She replied, "Because I don't want to end up with nothing in the end. Everyone gets to experience being 20 once, but no one stays 20 forever. I came to blind dates because I don't want to settle. I don't want to wait until I'm older and lose all my advantages, then just casually pick someone to live with. So I chose to take the initiative, while I still have the advantage, to take control of the selection process." She had just added a man born in 1994, about 10 years older than her. He owns a house and car in Wuhan, his parents have pensions, and he works in a central state-owned enterprise. I asked her, You don't care about the age gap? He's nearly 10 years older than you. The girl answered with complete clarity. I can accept a man 10, even 15 years older, because dating someone my own age feels too childish. They only know how to play video games. Spending time with them is a waste of youth and feelings. Instead of wasting my best years on childish men, I'd rather directly choose a mature, successful man. Hearing her say this, I felt this girl was truly smart. Her awareness and perspective are higher than many women born in the 92nd. The cruel truth is, in the matchmaking market, truly high-quality men are a scarce resource. If women don't take the initiative, they really won't get the chance. Many 92nd-born women are still blindly picky, even sitting at home waiting for men to chase them, which is unrealistic. Meanwhile, clever 2002nd-born women are already actively harvesting the best men. If you keep delaying, you may not even get a seat at the table. So if your daughter has reached the right age and is still single as a mother, you'd better start worrying now. Before we dive into all of this, let us know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Connecting with viewers across the world is a huge source of inspiration for us.
今天有一个38岁硕士学历的女生来找我啊，她说她呢
Today, a 38-year-old woman with a master's degree came to see me. She said that when she casually brought up the topic of bride price, Ty Lee, with her boyfriend, he went silent for a few days and then decided to break up with her. The man is 35 years old, 178 centimeters tall, owns a house and a car. His conditions are actually quite decent. The two of them were introduced by their families, and after dating for half a year, they were already preparing for marriage. The woman wanted a bride price of 188,000 yuan, approximately equals $26,000 USD. She felt that since her parents had worked hard to raise her and supported her all the way through graduate school, it was only right. She never expected the man to respond with such an attitude. Then she asked me, why? What exactly did I say wrong? Actually, it's very simple. The man felt, I'm talking about building a life with you, but you're talking about doing business with me. Isn't that the truth?
80%婚姻不幸的女人，年轻时都有一个共同点，就是非帅哥。
80% of women who end up in unhappy marriages had one thing in common when they were young. They insisted on marrying only handsome men. I have a client, 32 years old, who is divorced. Her ex-husband was tall and handsome. Whenever she went out with him, everyone envied her. But in the end, she discovered after marriage that he had no ambition and no sense of responsibility. When conflicts with his mother arose, he just avoided them. In the end, he couldn't even come up with the tuition fees for their child. When women are young, they look at appearances. Only after maturing do they realize, good looks can't be put on the table as food, and height doesn't bring security. What truly makes life good is a man who can shoulder responsibilities, earn money, and discuss things with you. Those women who find happiness in their second marriages already figured this out. When choosing a man, you must use your brain, not just your eyes.
别嘛，我要求真不高，就是啥了，这个男的只要是1.8米以上。
Don't curse me, my requirements really aren't that high. It's just this. The guy only needs to be at least 1.80 meters tall, have a bit of abs, fair skin, a little humorous, and able to talk with me on the same wavelength. As for work, it doesn't need to be anything great, just something decent and respectable. The salary amount doesn't matter. Even if he doesn't have a car or a house, that's fine. Haha, not high requirements, right? Then let me ask you, what outstanding qualities do you have? Do you? Me? Actually, my conditions are pretty good. Even though my job isn't anything special, I still earn 5,000 or 6,000 yuan, approximately equals 830 USD. A month. But honestly, that's not even worth mentioning. Sister, let me summarize for you. You want someone over 1.80 meters tall, fair-skinned, with a bit of muscle, at least a decent job? And while you say it doesn't have to be some high position, essentially you're asking for someone tall and handsome, not super rich, but at least medium rich, reliable, and solid. And you think such a man, at a blind date event, would nobody want him? He's going to be very popular. And then, look at your own age. A man like that, with those qualities, couldn't he easily choose a younger girl? Why should he specifically choose you, sister?
姐，我跟你说，我都谈4、5段恋爱了，都给我谈女一人。
Sis, let me tell you, I've already been in 4 or 5 relationships, and they've all left me confused. Please, don't even start with me. Wait, aren't you born in 2001? Yeah. Then sis, your timeline doesn't really add up. How long were these relationships anyway? The longest was 2 or 3 months. That short? And how exactly were you dating long distance, just online chatting or real offline interaction? I met all of them online. Ah, no wonder. If it's only online, what kind of relationship can that even be? Were they all long distance? Yes. Sis, it seems like you might have a misunderstanding about what a real relationship is. A proper one should have a normal beginning, a normal ending, last at least half a year, and include real intimacy between two people, not just chatting online. Have you ever had that kind of relationship? Ah, so all my relationships were fake? You're just like many boys and girls your age. It looks like you're in love, but what you're really in is a fake relationship. What are you even talking about? Some person you feel okay with, but you can't see them, can't touch them. The other side could literally be a dog and you wouldn't know, and you're telling me that's love? Don't make me mad, okay, sis? Then what should I call what I've had, if it's not love? Sweetheart, at best, what you had was just a bit of online flirting, a sprout of ambiguity, a few days of chatting, never even meeting face to face, and you think you were in love. Because of these abnormal experiences, you've formed some wrong expectations about real relationships. That's why so many people actually have never truly been in love. To put it bluntly, they're giants in thought but dwarfs in action. A few days of chatting, and they think they're love experts already. Don't fall into that trap.
如果家里给你介绍了相亲对象，你都觉得条件太差了。
If your family introduces you to blind date candidates and you think their conditions are too poor, completely unmatched with yours, you might believe it's your parents' fault or that the resources of relatives and friends around you aren't good enough. But you forget to consider your own problem, you forget your own mediocrity. If they're introducing you to someone with poor conditions, most likely your own conditions aren't that great either. Ordinary people should recognize reality and not always let their ambitions soar beyond the sky. Yesterday, a girl born in 1994 came to see me. She has a bachelor's degree, is 162 centimeter tall, weighs 98 jin, about 49 kilogram, and now works in Shanghai with an annual income of 120,000 yuan, approximately equals 16,500 USD. Her parents are farmers, and she has a younger sister at home. She immediately pulled me aside and started complaining. She said, the blind dates my family introduces me to all have terrible conditions. They even forced me to meet a guy who only graduated from a vocational secondary school. I at least graduated from university. How could I have anything in common with someone like that? I feel like my parents just think I'm getting old and want me to casually find some man and get married. But my requirements aren't high. Just help me find a guy whose conditions are about the same as mine. After hearing this, I nearly lost my composure. I reassured her, don't worry, I'll definitely help you filter properly. Then I asked, so what kind of man are you looking for? She told me, at least an associate degree or higher, no more than 3 years older than me, with a monthly income slightly higher than mine, around 175 centimeter tall. Owning a house in Shanghai would be even better. As for the bride price, Taili, according to the custom in my hometown, it's basically between 188,000 yuan, approximately equals 26,000 USD, and 288,000 yuan, approximately equals 40,000 USD. My requirement is 288,000 yuan, approximately equals 40,000 USD. The more I listened, the more wrong it sounded. Didn't she say she only wanted someone with conditions similar to hers? How did her list of demands get more and more outrageous? So I asked her, sister, when you say it'd be better if he has a house in Shanghai, does that mean if he doesn't, you won't consider him? She looked at me like she had just found her soulmate and said, yes, Mumu, I knew I came to the right person, you really understand me. I replied, of course there are plenty of men like that here, but the gap between your conditions and theirs is too wide. The match is very difficult, and naturally the price won't be low. As expected, the moment she heard the price, she left immediately. I didn't even want to say more. I thought, why are you pretending in front of me? You claim you earn 170,000 yuan, approximately equals 23,500 USD, annually, and yet you expect to find someone in Shanghai who can buy a house? Men who meet this requirement are either locals or come from wealthy families. And this is what you call not high requirements? By poor conditions. Do you mean simply those who can't afford to buy a house in Shanghai? Please, take a look at your own situation. You're just an ordinary girl, no wealthy family background, no prestigious university halo, an average career, average looks, not especially high emotional intelligence. How exactly do you think you can marry upward? It's better to stop watching those fantasy dramas where the domineering CEO falls in love with the cleaning lady. Imagine this. A girl who is the only daughter in her family, doesn't want bride price, doesn't want a wedding ceremony, is good-looking, and even works in a government institution, and yet she is still single. She says the main reason is because she has a dirty rule that many people can't accept. What's the rule? She has 10 requirements. First, no bride price, but both sets of parents must each contribute 100,000, 150,000 yuan, approximately equals 14,021, 000 USD, as startup funds for the new family. Why 100,000 yuan? She says, we're not after their money, but we need to see the other family's attitude and capability. If a family can't even prepare 100,000 yuan when their child reaches marriageable age, then I think that family isn't suitable for marriage yet. Marriage is about daily necessities, and I don't want a good relationship to end in chaos over money. Second, no diamond ring, it's just a IQ tax, she says. But she requires the 3 golds: gold necklace, bracelet, and ring. Since marriage is a major life event, buying the 3 golds has both commemorative value and can be pawned in times of family difficulty. Third, no engagement banquet. Just have both families sit down to a nice meal, set the date, and that's enough. After all, you're one family from then on. She says, I don't want to waste my in-laws' hard-earned money. Fourth, no extravagant wedding. Spending 100,000 plus yuan, approximately equals 14,000 plus USD, just for a half day of liveliness is completely unnecessary. She believes many people only hold weddings to get back the gift money they gave out in the past. But that money isn't actual income, while what you pay to the wedding company is real, hard spending. So she thinks holding something small in the county town is fine. Invite everyone to dinner, recover some gift money, and not spend much of your own. The other person responds, you really know how to live frugally. She says, of course, face is not as important as practicality. Fifth, not living with parents. She doesn't want her parents or in-laws who struggled to raise them to continue raising their children's kids. She hopes parents can enjoy their own retirement life, pursue their hobbies, while she herself wants a 2-person world. Living separately is best for everyone. So what does she want? She says, first, we need to have our own house. That means the man's family should at least have 2 houses, one for his parents and one for us. Or, I can help with the down payment, and we buy a new marital home together, with both our names on the deed. If he buys it together with me, I can also help contribute to raising a car. Second, equal filial piety to both sets of parents. On holidays, either celebrate together or alternate between families. Third, stable income. Fourth, good character and responsibility. Family matters must be shared, earning money together and household chores together. No shirking. Fifth, both must exchange medical checkup reports. She explains, health comes first. Since we don't know each other's past relationships, if we want to be serious in today's fast food dating era, exchanging reports is also a sign of sincerity. The narrator comments, but think about it when a stranger first meets you, and you list off this whole series of demands. Most people can't accept that. She replies, that's true. Relatives and leaders have introduced me to guys, but they all say I'm too picky, wanting a house, wanting stable income, wanting parents to provide startup funds, not wanting to live with parents. But I'm not only demanding these from the man, I'm also willing to do my part. The narrator says, it's not that your requirements are too high, but the way you present them makes you seem difficult, hard to deal with, and men get scared away. It's not attractive. She answers, but these aren't rigid demands on the man. These are just the basic requirements for a stable marriage. Economy, family, health, and character are all essential. For example, a diligent family saving just 5,000 yuan, approximately equals 700 USD, each year for their child will have 100,000 yuan, approximately equals 14,000 USD, saved by the time the child is 20. And that money is for the child, not for me. Also, by stable income, I don't mean an iron rice bowl. I mean having a continuous source of monthly income. A reliable man, even if unemployed, would quickly find a way to earn, whether by running deliveries or courier services. He can still make a few thousand yuan, approximately equals a few hundred USD a month. As for being upright and trustworthy, isn't that just the basic requirement of being a human being? I believe that if someone refuses even to listen to these requests, it only shows they're guilty inside. A normal person isn't afraid of someone stating expectations. So the question is, do you think what this girl says is true? What really should be the foundation of a stable marriage?
32岁优质大龄剩女究竟能有多现实？
什么样的要求？
高富帅呗。
女孩脱口而出。
Just how realistic can a so-called 2-year-old high-quality leftover woman be, and what kind of demands does she make? When asked, the first words that came out of her mouth were tall, rich, and handsome. For her, that's the only requirement. After all, with just her looks and aura, she believes she can already drive countless men crazy. Therefore, for her, a partner's appearance and income are both indispensable. When it comes to tall, rich, and handsome, which one comes first? Is it looks or money? Hard to say. In fact, she has a very clear idea of her standards. First of all, only men with an annual income of over 10 million yuan, approximately equals 1.4 million USD, are qualified to even meet her. On top of that, looks then become the crucial deciding factor. For example, if you put a man with 50 million yuan, approximately equals 7 million USD, against a man with 10 million yuan, approximately equals 1.4 million USD, she might actually choose the 10 million one depending on his looks. She explains that it's not because she's a gold digger, but because domineering CEOs are deeply obsessed with her, and she is forced to raise her standards. But looking at her herself, at 32 years old and 160 centimeter tall, she isn't particularly outstanding. As the camera explores her home, her unique charm is revealed not just her appearance, but her lazy and casual aura, which she proudly claims is her best princess quality. Yet her home tells another story. Socks scattered everywhere, leftover food containers piling up with even bugs flying around. Compared to the mess of clothes and toiletries, it seems trivial. Instead of being ashamed, she flaunts it. Nowadays, rich, handsome men love girls like me, little princesses who can't take care of themselves. Whoever marries me is incredibly lucky. Only then will men be motivated to make money. She says, just hire a nanny, isn't that enough? If I live like this after marriage, then he just needs to focus on making money. A nanny costs 6,000 yuan, approximately equals 830 USD, per month, about 80,000 yuan, approximately equals 11,000 USD, a year. With 200,000 yuan, approximately equals 28,000 USD, it's more than enough. In her view, only incapable men would complain that she doesn't do housework. A truly appreciative man would gladly spend money to hire a nanny to care for his princess. She firmly believes that all she needs to do is stay beautiful, while the man must provide financially. After all, a little money can solve everything. So, what's the real requirement? She insists a man must earn at least 1 million yuan, approximately equals 140,000 USD, annually, enough to cover nannies and lifestyle costs. With that as her minimum, she claims she is finally ready to pursue love. This time, she meets her so-called Prince Charming. At their first meeting, the man thoughtfully orders her fried chicken and hamburgers. She is thrilled because with her own monthly income of only 3,000 yuan, approximately equals 415 USD, she normally can't afford such indulgences. But the man casually says, grabbing a burger is nothing expensive. Yet aside from his attentiveness, material conditions remain her priority. Car and house are basic, she says, and don't be too poor. You should at least give 1 million yuan, approximately equals 140,000 USD a year to the family for children's education or household expenses. But in reality, it's more about her own desires than the child's future. She adds, if a man is really handsome, I could lower the standard a bit, maybe to 700,000, 800,000 yuan, approximately equals 100,000, 115,000 USD. But less than that? How could we live? For her, life is impossible without a man earning over 1 million yuan, approximately equals 140,000 USD per year. But in reality, men earning that much are extremely rare, even rarer than the CEO falls in love with me fantasy. Compared to her own current income of only 3,000 yuan, approximately equals 415 USD, a month, the gap is staggering. In truth, instead of indulging in fantasies of domineering CEOs, women like her should recognize their own situation. Only by being grounded, sincere, and realistic about relationships can leftover women truly find a way out of their marriage dilemma. If you're still watching, comment 1 so I know you're still with me. So, you like my boyfriend, huh? Fine, I'll just give him to you then. Everyone, today's story comes from a female submission, and honestly, after hearing it, I was so frustrated I could barely hold it in. Let's dive right in. First-person perspective. I grew up with today's main character, let's call her Yue. As kids, she lived right across the hall from me. My mom often invited her over whenever she cooked something delicious, and we shared food together. We had always been close friends. But once Yue got a boyfriend, she completely changed. This boyfriend, we'll call him Lao Wang, I only met him once. That one time was enough for me to feel that something was off about him. Still, since Yue was my good friend, I suggested we all have dinner together so I could meet him properly. When Yue brought Lao Wang over, the first impression I got was that he looked down on me. He gave off a strong macho vibe, but it was my first time meeting him, so I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Then, during dinner, he literally slammed his chopsticks on the table and started lecturing us. Women must treat men as their heavens. In the end, you'll always have to rely on us men. If you serve us well, you'll have everything. I was furious. What era does he think this is? A time traveler from the past? Yue quickly nudged me under the table, whispering not to argue with him. Out of respect for her, I held back. Later, Yue told me privately that Lao Wang would check her phone, and once during a fight, he even pinned her down on the ground. I begged her to break up, but she insisted, "Don't. He promised he'll change." No matter how I persuaded her, it was useless. Eventually, she did call me one day crying, saying Lao Wang had pushed her down again, cursed at her, and she had finally broken up with him. I was furious, wanted to confront him, but both Yue and my then-boyfriend stopped me. After that, I tried to set Yue up with my boyfriend's childhood friend, a decent guy named Ajay. He was handsome, polite, never messed around with girls. Yue seemed pleased, so they started dating. At first, he treated her like treasure gentle, attentive, caring, but soon he noticed things felt off. One night, he invited Yue to a BBQ restaurant. Instead of going with him, she went with a friend and disappeared from 6 p.m. to midnight. When questioned, she claimed her phone had died. That night, she skipped their usual video call, saying she was too tired and went straight to sleep. The next day, she only texted him at 3 p.m., claiming she had just woken up. Suspicious, AG checked her social media and found she had reconnected with her ex Lao Wang. To investigate further, he used a female friend's account to message Lao Wang. Sure enough, Lao Wang bragged, Yue spent the night with me. She said her current boyfriend is boring and she can't forget me. Ajay was devastated. He confronted Yue, sent her screenshots, and broke up with her immediately. Afterward, he told me never to introduce him to another friend again, blaming me for setting him up with her. But it didn't stop there. Later, I started dating a guy named Akai. Somehow, Yue added him on social media too, pretending to share his interest in skateboarding. They began chatting behind my back. When I eventually broke up with Akai for unrelated reasons, Yue immediately slid in, telling him, "Don't be sad, you still have me. I'll be your best female friend." At the same time, she acted like she cared for me, saying, "I told you Akai was trash. You should be glad you broke up." She played both sides. Then came another guy, Xiao Li. I wasn't officially dating him, just in the ambiguous stage. Yet Yue managed to get his contact, and the two even went to a hotel together. Later, through Xiao Li, she met his friend Xiao Zhang, a very handsome guy who already had a girlfriend. Yue didn't care. She even went to his house, calling him 20 times, until he came down. He finally let her in, and his girlfriend was furious. Worse still, after all this, Yue went around telling others that I was the one sleeping around with multiple men, slandering me to cover her own mess. One day, my ex Akai sent me chat records between him and Yue. In them, she told him lies about me claiming I was sleeping with other men, that I'd been harassed at work, And even saying I was doing business on the side for one, 500 yuan approximately equals 210 USD a day. None of it was true. No wonder Akai had grown cold toward me back then. That's when I remembered years ago, when Yui was still with Lao Wang, she accidentally got pregnant. Lao Wang abandoned her, refusing to help. Yui Wei came crying to me for help. I accompanied her to the hospital, covered many of the medical costs out of my own pocket, and took care of her. She held my hand after surgery and said, "You're my best sister for life. I'll never forget this." But what happened after? She turned around and stabbed me in the back. Now I finally understand. Yue has no real hobbies or interests. Her only joy is stealing my boyfriends and betraying me. So, everyone be careful choosing your friends. Don't give your heart to just anyone, or you'll end up like me, betrayed again and again.
男人嘛，这80得长也挺漂亮的。
喜欢长类型的。
比如说拿你做标准吧。
A good man, right? Even at 80 years old, he still thinks he's handsome. What kind of type does he like? For example, someone like you, he said to the young and pretty matchmaker. This 66-year-old man, very confident about himself, came to a matchmaking program. The moment he saw the young matchmaker, he claimed she was exactly his type. When she introduced him to a 60-year-old lady, he glanced at her once and immediately said, "Not suitable. She doesn't match me." The matchmaker was speechless. At his age, he still judged entirely by looks. To give him another chance, she introduced him to a 5-6-year-old lady who was even prettier. Yet again he dismissed her. Too young, but not pretty enough. This man, surnamed Li, is 66 years old. He receives a monthly pension of 4,000 yuan, approximately equals 560 USD. His first wife divorced him years ago because he spent too much time on mahjong, poker, and singing. Now, in retirement, his hobbies are cooking, playing chess, and even basketball. When the matchmaker visited him, he showed off his cooking and basketball skills. She politely praised him, saying he looked much younger than 60 plus. Thrilled, he even demonstrated his calligraphy at home. Once again, she complimented him, and that's when he revealed his standard. Men are visual animals. Even at 80, an old man still prefers a beautiful woman. Though the matchmaker found him unrealistic, she respected his wishes and matched him with Miss Yang, a 60-year-old woman with property, wealth, and elegance. Years ago, Miss Yang's husband became a vegetative patient. She devoted herself to caring for him for 15 years, even studying traditional medicine to help. 3 years ago, her husband passed away. The matchmaker thought she and Mr. Li were a good match. The next day, the matchmaker brought Mr. Li, who came neatly dressed and carrying fruit, to Miss Yang's home. She was impressed, finding him clean, fit, and energetic. She warmly expressed her admiration. "You look good, very neat, very healthy." But Mr. Li, instead of responding, turned to the matchmaker and said he wanted someone young and pretty like her, not someone already over 60. The matchmaker, only in her 22nd, was stunned. She reminded him, "There's a big difference between 20 and 60. A man in his 60s cannot realistically expect to find a woman in her 20s. Still, Mr. Li ignored her advice and bluntly told Miss Yang, "We're not suitable." Miss Yang, calm and dignified, politely saw him off. Still chasing youth, Mr. Li was then introduced to another candidate, Miss Yu, 56 years old, also wealthy and with property. She greeted him warmly, but again her efforts were wasted. Mr. Li quickly dismissed her as not pretty enough and excused himself, saying he had to catch a 6 o'clock train. At that point, the matchmaker realized Mr. Li simply wasn't suitable for senior matchmaking. At 66 years old, with only 4,000 yuan, approximately equals 560 USD, monthly pension, still chasing after women in their 20s, his expectations were far from reality. In the end, both matchmaking attempts failed. The truth remains, in dating, especially at an older age, one must stay realistic. After all, what young woman in her 20s would choose a man in his 60s?
女生素颜去相亲，男生会是什么反应呢？
When a girl goes to a blind date completely barefaced, what will the guy's reaction be? Not fake natural makeup, but truly no makeup at all. There was a young lady like this in our program, but it wasn't that she intentionally wanted to test anyone. It just so happened that during the change of seasons, she developed a skin allergy, so she really couldn't wear makeup. But since the date had already been scheduled, she decided to bite the bullet and meet the man we had arranged. Originally, we thought there was a high chance it wouldn't work out. But to our surprise, that very evening, the young man messaged us. His impression of her was very high, saying that he liked her real, natural, and unpretentious appearance, and that he was looking forward to seeing her again. So I want to ask all the men, was this just an individual case, or do most of you actually feel the same way?
不催婚的家长一定不是好家长。你发现现在
Parents who pressure their children into marriage are definitely not good parents. Look around. So many of the post-82nd and post-92nd generation are only children. They don't have many friends, and they've grown used to living comfortably under their parents' care, with everything guaranteed. For them, being single feels truly wonderful. But in reality, some of them already carry unrealistic fantasies when it comes to choosing a partner. So, as parents, you must not indulge them too much. If your child has clearly passed the most suitable marriage age, you need to understand that youth cannot be reversed, especially for daughters. You have to make plans early. Don't believe in going with the flow. Fate will not come if you just sit and wait. You understand this as parents. If your child doesn't actively look, so-called perfectionism will only turn into shackles on their lives. Height, looks, job, education, and family background, no matter how advantageous they are, eventually they will all be defeated by age. More importantly, the longer you delay, the fewer choices there will be. The marriage market will not keep a reserve stock just waiting for your child to pick from. The kind of fresh-faced young idols you see in television dramas are extremely rare in real life. Work will always be endless. If you don't deliberately carve out some time for dating, your child will only fall deeper into the cycle of perpetual singleness, ending up empty-handed. So let them take initiative now. Don't procrastinate. Don't wait until your child can't find a partner, and it becomes a lifelong regret by then. It's too late.
刚才在网上看到一段网友总结的女生的话。
I just saw an online post summarizing what women really mean when they say certain things. For example, when women often talk about ambition, sense of responsibility, sense of ritual, what do they actually mean? Ambition means you must have money in the future. Security means you must have money now. A stable life means you must always have money. Responsibility means spending money on her. Sense of ritual means spending money on her from time to time. Freshness means spending money on her frequently. Knowing romance means not only spending money, but spending it right at the exact spot that touches her heart. That's what true romance is. Having a sense of duty means you also spend money on her family and friends. For example, if her parents fall ill or her relatives have a problem, you step up financially. And emotional value means you not only spend money on her, but also make her happy while doing so. Haha, I think this summary is spot on.
二婚可不是人生的下坡路，而是逆风翻盘的绝佳。
A second marriage is not the downhill road of life, it's actually a golden opportunity to make a comeback. If you want to stand out in the remarriage market, even making up for the losses of your first marriage and doubling the return, remember these 4 practical strategies. They will put happiness back in your own hands. First, abandon the love brain. Treat a second marriage as a partnership, like starting a new company with your partner. Don't expect pure love to save a second marriage. It's a comprehensive collaboration. Finances, parenting, and daily life all need to be clearly calculated. Make a list of expectations, how you want him to participate in raising children, how expenses should be shared, what kind of emotional support you expect. Laying everything out early will make you look reliable. Everyone has been burned by love before. No one dares to only talk about romance anymore. Having aligned goals is the only way to last long-term. Second, in a first marriage you talk about feelings. In a second marriage you must understand human nature. Second marriage, men mainly want to avoid the pitfalls of their previous relationship. When he complains about his ex-wife too controlling, not family-oriented, you should present the opposite. Understanding, family-oriented, especially regarding children. Don't treat his children as outsiders. Give them even more care than their own parents. Remember, for men looking to remarry, avoiding old mistakes comes first, then the children, then stability, then a partner. If you meet these 3 points, 9 out of 10 men will be moved. Third, men are essentially like children, they need guidance. In second marriages, problems easily arise. For example, some men put children first and neglect the marriage itself. From the start, you need to set boundaries, reject the old men outside, women inside mindset, emphasize equal contribution in marriage, and refuse the AA style of splitting responsibilities only for your own kids. The husband-wife relationship must remain the family's core. Fourth, amplify your advantages. Don't waste time fixing weaknesses. Instead, identify your strongest traits and magnify them. If you're beautiful, turn beauty into attraction. If you have high emotional intelligence, use it to lock in his emotions. If you're successful in your career, showcase your independence and confidence. Make your strengths your label, so he realizes that if he loses you, he will never find another woman like you. A second marriage is not settling, it's regaining the power to choose your life with confidence. Master these 4 strategies, and turning your second marriage into a win is not so hard.
你老觉得社会上的有钱人挺多的，是吧？答案
You often feel like there are many wealthy people in society, right? And the answer is, yes, there really are. The number of rich people hasn't decreased at all. Consumption hasn't downgraded either. Instead, people's spending concepts have changed. Today's young people are no longer willing to pay for traditional status symbol brands. In the past, everyone loved the BBA, Benz, BMW, Audi trio for their solid quality. But now, people are increasingly interested in domestic brands like Li Auto, NIO, and Xiaomi, not cheap at all, but they look good. That's all it takes now. Attractive design. Everyone knows Mercedes-Benz invented the automobile, BMW once made aircraft engines, and Audi has been a regular champion in racing. These are century-old giants. Yet their sales have been surpassed by Chinese upstarts that were founded only a few years ago. Even more interesting, a Pop Mart Labubu plush toy can sell for 4,000 yuan, approximately equals 420,560 USD, and is considered a hot commodity, while Mutai liquor has dropped below 500 yuan, approximately equals 350 USD. In the past, people scrimped and saved to buy a house. Now, more choose not to marry, not to have children, and not to buy property just to spend money eating, drinking, and traveling. The times really have changed.
如果说您跟你的另一半呢三观不合，不论说您多大，
If you and your partner don't share the same values, no matter how old you are, remember these 5 things. They will make the rest of your life much easier. First, don't fight. Treat your spouse as an ordinary friend. Let them do what they want. Don't try to change them. Values are ingrained and can't be changed. You can't wake someone who pretends to be asleep. They'll only wake through pain. Second, make use of whatever they're good at. If they can make money, let them make money. If they can work, let them work. Marriage is cooperation, not a fairy tale. If communication is impossible, then focus on yourself. Stop staring at them. Start looking at your wallet balance. Money brings more security than love ever could. Third, choosing the wrong marriage is not the scariest thing. Choosing the wrong way to live is... If your partner is on a completely different wavelength, then just treat them as a co-parent, a life partner to share chores, not necessarily as someone to love or be loved by. Even if your marriage is a mistake, don't let your entire life be one. Eat well, sleep well, live well. Fourth, let go of obsessions and focus on living well. Don't look for love inside marriage. Seek freedom in your life. You can grow flowers, drink tea, exercise, dance. When you're thriving and glowing, those marital disputes won't hold you down. Fifth, love yourself. That is the true beginning of the second half of life. Make yourself the main character. If your spouse is indifferent, shine on your own. If they add joy, then enjoy it. Remember, marrying the wrong person isn't what's pitiful. What's pitiful is spending your entire life paying for that mistake. From now on, treat yourself well. In life, there's nothing you can't let go of.
我过生日邀请女朋友去海边，让她给我 A 一下那个高铁费。
A male fan submitted his story. He invited his girlfriend to celebrate his birthday at the seaside, asking her to split the cost of the high-speed train and hotel. She directly replied, "Cancel my ticket. I'm not going." He was confused. Are girls nowadays really that materialistic? Was it wrong to ask her to split the costs? This fan was born in 1995, just turned 30. Under 1.8 meter tall, decent looking, working at a big company. His annual salary is 30-something, about 300,000 plus yuan, approximately equals 42,000 plus USD. He grew up in a middle-class family, never lacking food or clothing, but he's extremely frugal. He never splurges on big meals unless friends are around to split the bill. He's only had 2 girlfriends in his life. The first was in college, and they broke up at graduation. For 7-8 years afterward, he remained single, dismissing many girls as too materialistic. This year, a former colleague introduced him to a girl born in 2000, a graduate student now working at a major firm earning about 20,000 yuan, approximately equals 2,800 USD a month. She was clean, simple, and exactly his type. They started dating and got along well. They usually ate with friends, always splitting costs. He never paid when meeting her friends. Sometimes her friends or she herself covered the bill. Even for milk tea, she handled it, and he didn't interfere. After about a month, his birthday approached. He suggested celebrating at the seaside. The tickets were about 170 yuan, approximately equals 24 USD each, and 2 hotel rooms cost about 300 plus yuan, approximately equals 42 USD, totaling around 600 yuan, approximately equals 84 USD. He told her, "Just split 300 yuan with me, that's enough." At first, she agreed, then asked if meals and entrance tickets were included. He insisted they'd eat simply just noodles or rice, not expensive seafood. He said, "Just cover the train and hotel, I'll pay for food." She replied, "Okay," but half an hour later she suddenly texted, "Cancel my ticket and hotel, I'm not going," and stopped replying. Soon after, she posted a WeChat moment showing she had bought AirPods Max accessories worth 3,699 yuan, approximately equals 520 USD, captioned, "Almost sent it out as a gift." The screenshot showed it had already been refunded. He realized she had originally planned to give it to him as a birthday present but canceled it after his request to split costs. 5 weeks later, she broke up with him through his colleague saying only, "We're not suitable." He was upset. What's wrong with asking her to split just 300 yuan, approximately equals 42 USD? Is every girl nowadays like this? So materialistic? Was I wrong to ask?
我还有社保，1年得2万左右吧。这个你社保的话，我年年给你交。
I still have social insurance. That's worth about 20,000 yuan per year, approximately equals 2,800 USD. If you want me to cover your insurance, then I'd have to pay that for you every month. So tell me, how much can you give me monthly? If you don't pay for my social insurance, I'll give you at least 3,000 yuan, approximately equals 420 USD, a month, but if I have to pay the insurance myself, then after that I'll be left with nothing. In my mind, 3,000 isn't enough. I need at least 5,000 yuan, approximately equals 700 USD. What I want is a man who can support me even if I don't do anything at all. This is a 6-8-year-old uncle who's in relatively good health and not ready to admit old age. Because his income is decent, he wants to eat tender grass as an old ox, but he has to think carefully. He not only has to give her 5,000 yuan monthly, but also pay her social insurance. If he wants to win this beautiful younger woman, he has to accept financial loss. This is simply a fair trade. The aunt is very attractive, dresses in fur, carries expensive bags, and clearly has a high standard of living. She's more than 10 years younger than him, and she feels she should enjoy wealth and comfort. She also made it clear she doesn't want to work after marriage. She wants to stay home, look beautiful, and let the man provide. So, unless the uncle has the financial strength, he shouldn't dream about being with a much younger woman. Even though the two argued back and forth and had huge differences, the matchmaking atmosphere was still friendly. They didn't become a couple, but they parted on good terms. As the saying goes, if you're not destined to be husband and wife, at least you can still have friendship. But in reality, if you don't have the qualifications, don't be overly picky. With too large an age gap, it's very difficult to hold on. Later, the two also discussed lifestyle and intimacy, but again, the differences were too large. The aunt wanted peace and stability, while the uncle wanted passion 3 or 4 times a week, something she could not accept. In the end, although they matched in many ways, the principal gap was too big, and they failed to become a couple. The truth is, seeking love in old age is natural, but it must be realistic. To bloom in a second spring, one must carry a calm heart.
二婚女人都很香，带个娃的更加有人抢。我天哪，我这到底是
Divorced women are so popular if they already have a child. Men want them even more. Nonsense. This kind of toxic chicken soup is spreading online, but the reality is the opposite. If you're divorced and raising a child, it's actually very difficult to find a partner. Who do you think is lining up to raise someone else's kid? Yet, online, rumors spread that remarriage is even more valuable than a first marriage, that divorced women get double the bride price, etc. Whoever started this is really messing up the internet, and young people are being misled. One woman shared her personal story. Her parents urged her to undergo IVF and have 2 children, one for herself and one to give to her brother for him to raise and support their parents. She had married far away, against her parents' wishes, and was treated as less important than her brother from childhood due to favoritism for sons. After years of infertility, doctors suggested IVF. But instead of support, her mother told her, "Since your brother refuses to marry, you can just give him one of your IVF babies, especially a girl, so she can take care of us in old age." The woman was shocked. She had escaped being treated as a tool her whole life, and now they wanted her daughter to replace her in that role. She realized how deep her parents' sense of entitlement ran and how cruel it was.
女生是视觉动物吗？我觉得应该都是吧，我觉得。
Are women visual creatures? I think so. Probably everyone is, right? So, do you like good looks? Of course, who doesn't? Haha. I'm 24 years old, 1.7 meter tall. If I had to use 3 words to describe myself, I'd say girlish, loving, and contrasting. What part of yourself are you most satisfied with? My nose, it's high. What do you look at first in a man? His height. So, is a man's height very important? For me, yes. Because I'm tall, I prefer taller men. Do you have a boyfriend? Number. What type do you like? Someone humorous. The reality is clear. Today's Chinese society is facing a serious paradox. According to China's National Population Bureau, in 2023, the number of marriages dropped to the lowest level in 40 years, only about 6.8 million couples registered, which is down by more than 1/3 compared to a decade ago. At the same time, the divorce rate continues to rise, shaking the very foundation of the family unit. Behind these broken marriages lies an imbalance between material demands and emotional bonds, between individual desires and traditional family values. This is precisely the moment for reflection, a time to return to the traditional values of understanding, responsibility, and mutual support in marriage. Because only when families are stable can society remain stable, and this is exactly the message that China Social Trends wants to emphasize. Once again, remember, protecting family happiness is protecting society itself. It is the thread that connects China's past, present, and future. That is the key message that China Social Trends invites viewers to reflect on. Do you think marriage in China today has turned into a business transaction rather than a bond of genuine love and commitment?